Okay, hey guys, welcome to the trade, episode 41. We're interviewing a new friend today, and we're also going to talk some comics industry shenanigans. Uh, I am your host, Melanie. I do the strip Ornamental at ornamentalcomic.com. My co-host today is Jamie of jamiedgailey.com and canoncomic.com.
What's
Say hello.
up?
Yes. All right, and our new friend is Jonathan Bigelow of Stairwell at stairwellonline.com. Say hello, my friend.
Hello, good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Look at that fantastic skyline right behind his backside there. He's over in Seattle, son of a bitch. All right. Jonathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about when you started Stairwell?
Sure. I started Stairwell a little over 3 years ago. It was a effort to create a new strip to replace the strip I had been doing for the 10 years before that. So between Stairwell and my old comic, I've been doing webcomics for about 14 years now. I did a comic called A Rusty Life, which is still up on arustylife.com. But the problem was it was kind of one of those typical 20-somethings on zany adventure comics, and there are so many of those that when I decided I really, really desperately wanted to try to do something that had a little bit more thought and feeling behind it, and that's what prompted the creation of Stairwell. Stairwell, for those who are not familiar, is a comic strip about a guy who talks to himself, and that is represented by a brain. So there's my main character, Norman, and his brain. And I try to never write it in a way that I'm telling you the brain is there. It's up to the reader to decide, is the brain actually there, or is this just a way that the Norman's thoughts are being communicated to the reader?
What are you drawing?
I draw on Adobe Illustrator.
Yep.
I actually draw on Adobe Illustrator by mouse, though, not with a tablet of any kind.
That's
Which
awesome.
Wow.
seems to be unique amongst cartoonists. For me, I'm too much of a perfectionist, simplistic designer in my design sensibilities. So when I used to draw by hand, it would drive me absolutely bonkers if one panel was supposed to be kind of the same from one to the other, and there was even like a slight bit of difference. And so Illustrator gave me the best opportunity to kind of fix those imperfections and give me the uniform look. It is a very copy and paste comic, I will admit that, but it is it gives me it allows me to do it without messing with my, oh my god, this isn't perfect mental problem.
I'm actually on a probably a month-long artistic drought right now, where I just every single time I sit down to draw, not much is coming out. So I do a lot of I'm digital, but my art really doesn't look digital. I do lots of like rough brushes and stuff like that in Manga Studio, and I do a lot of copying and pasting of pencils, but I re-ink the panels because I am the exact opposite. I like to see differences between them two, but whatever makes your process go smoother and quicker is awesome.
Yeah, that was the big key actually behind being able to do it every day. For 3 years, I updated every single day with a new strip, and so that was over 1,000 comics in a row before I finally decided it was time for vacation. And I could not have done that if I would have had to have drawn from scratch every single day.
Yeah.
That said, I'm exploring future strip ideas which are hand-drawn or hand-drawn at least digitally to allow for some extra variety. Because as I mature as an artist, I find that I'm not being spoken to in the same ways as I necessarily was even a few years ago. So it gives you a chance to keep things interesting on a creator level.
Yeah.
Have you thought about getting like a Wacom companion or something like that? Some portable digital tablet, make it a little easier for yourself?
I have a Surface Pro 2, which has kind of the built-in tablet ability. Certainly, it would do a good enough job for the amount of skill I've got for hand drawing. I guess one of my problems as an artist is I am so confident in what I do and what I am able to do in Illustrator that if I sit down, if I'm on the bus and I think of what a sterile comic is going to, if I come up with the idea for a sterile comic, I can visualize it in a way that when it's done, it's going to look almost exactly like what I was visualizing, because my ability and what I know I'm going to be able to do are very tightly, they're in sync. But when I envision something that I'm planning on hand drawing, it just has no resemblance to what the actual thing I've done is. It's not necessarily bad stuff, it's just not what I was hoping to do. And so it's just, there's that disconnect, which is scary.
It was hard when I just. It's been a year for me being digital, just over a year. I'm a old school mini comic pen and ink slinger, and it just I can't keep organized physically. Like I was losing art. It was just piling up, and I would get behind on scanning and stuff like that. And everyone finally talked me into just like, listen, we understand that you really like pen and ink and you like brushes, but just give this a try. So I got a pretty cheap tablet and had that for only a month, and then went and bought a Wacom and just this Cintiq 24 HD, boom, and it's amazing. I love it so much. It's so fun. It was hard going from leaving Photoshop though. Like I first started with Photoshop, and then I was talking to a couple comic book artist friends, and they're like, you gotta get the demo for Manga Studio. So I got the demo for Manga Studio, and it is built for comic book making, so it's fun.
Yeah. Manga Studios tone structure, tone tools are second to none. They're amazing.
I'm doing lots of speed lines in the new comic I'm drawing, and I can just do speed lines all day, and that is so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Manga Studio is ideal. When I do hand draw comics digitally, because I've done a few random one-off strips that I haven't really posted anywhere. I do those in Manga Studio as well.
I sketch in Manga Studio. Like when I have an idea, I go and I just open up a blank page just to sketch with stuff. I love it very much.
Yeah, that's the other thing the stairwell allowed me to cut out, because I knew exactly what it was going to be each time I sat down to do it. There's no sketches. There's maybe a sentence or two in a notebook for each idea, so I kind of remember the idea, and then I just draw the comic. There's no intermediate phase. There's no sketch. There's no rough draft. It's not done and done.
That's awesome, man. The comic that I'm currently drawing is written by somebody else, and I wanted to provide him with like character sketches and stuff like that, but I was just getting so antsy about just drawing the comic that I just started drawing the comic. my sketches were the first 10 pages. I'm like, all right, there you go.
Lucky bastards. I am a traditionalist at heart. I cannot give up my pen and ink. I can't. I at least digitally color and then digitally letter.
There's something really amazing feeling about ink. Right now, with what I'm playing with for my new strip that I'm theoretically someday going to adventure into, I'm doing actual dipped pen and ink pens and inks, and there's something really therapeutic about it. It's messy and terrifying.
Yeah.
You should check with the friend of the podcast, Robert Trithart. He does killer pen and ink shit. Oh my fucking god! He makes me jealous. He makes me jealous like a fucker. I get a lady boner over that shit. Because I'm just like, oh god damn it! I gotta get better at this.
To me, the thing, if I could suddenly be instantly amazing at any comic skill, I would prefer to be instantly amazing at coloring in a watercolor style, because I just love
digital painting, or digital coloring, or like actual watercolors.
Like actual actual watercolor.
Because that's what I've been trying to perfect myself. Because my next story that I'm still writing right now, is a steampunk adventure, and it's going to be all watercolor. And that's what
What's
I've
that
been
girl that we
working
had
on.
on like a month ago that did her whole comic is watercolored?
Pink.
Yeah, what's her comic?
She has, what was it, Branch? Let me grab
This
the
girl
link real
hand
quick
paints
here.
every single page of her comic. It's insane, and she has like 300 pages done.
Yeah, and
She paints with
she puts out 2 or 3 pages a week. Let's see.
and it's like 99-cent store watercolors on like copy paper. It's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's gorgeous. I wish I could do that sort of thing, and I it's not a skill I've perfected by any stretch of imagination. That is what if I had one wish, I would wish to be super amazing at that suddenly.
Dang it.
Take a class with some old ladies at the community college.
I think
honestly, it's worth it.
it's just a case of sitting down and doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Root and Branch, rootandbranch.com, rootandbranchcomic.com. I got the link here. Let me give it to you. Boop. There you go. rootandbranchcomic.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Pink stuff is awesome. Yeah, she came on just a little while back here, and yeah, her stuff is fun. A lot of fun. Let's see. All right. Well, why don't we cover a little bit of industry news here real quick. Jonathan can't be on too much longer, so why don't we go ahead and hit up a couple of those real fast. First things first, let's pay a little homage, a little bit of a reverence here to a passing of a fellow comics creator, Darwin Cook. I'll put the link in the description for anybody that needs to see it. He was a great creator. He started off in animation. He did a lot of animation for DC, so you'll definitely recognize his art style from a lot of the older Batman cartoons. And then he branched off into the comics side of DC later on. And man, his work was fantastic in the retro aspect of his style.
Yeah, he's New Frontier, which he did for DC Comics, is a great comic that was, which was a great animated feature. Also, I actually had just watched that 2 months ago or whatever. I was really sad when he passed away. Very sudden too. All of a sudden, the news was that he had cancer. Then all of a sudden, later that day, he passed away.
Yikes.
Yeah, they had just started doing Indiegogo to kind of help him with his bills and whatnot, and not too far after that, he passed away real fast. He was only in his 50s.
Yeah.
So I mean that's really young, honestly.
Super young, yeah.
So thank you, Darwin Cook, for your contribution to the industry and to the world in general. Thank you, sir. You were fantastic. All right. Why don't we move on to some of the stinkier aspects of the industry that's been going on right now. The firing of Shelley Bond, one of the main editors of DC and one of the vice presidents. They laid her off in a corporate move for a restructure, which we all understand that happens in any industry and in any business. What's not understood is why they passed over another editor for her, that editor being Eddie Berganza, who is a known sexual assaulter and harasser. And this is a many-year-long known. He has done this for at least 20 years.
I hadn't even heard about this.
Yeah, that's one of the links there.
I'm reading right
now. Yeah, he off of a Comics Beat, and again, guys, I'll put the links down in the doobly-doo just so you guys can read up on the shenanigans here. But basically, they passed her They decided to fire her, even though she was one of their best editors, the top editor, in fact, the senior editor. And she is known for innovative work, being one of the best editors DC has. To fire a total, not to fire a douche canoe, a well-known sexual harassing, sexual assaulting douche.
Could it have been a decision made on money? If she was a senior editor, was he a senior editor as well, or like are
They
they
didn't
comparative,
specify
or
his
could it have been a
editor.
cost-cutting measure?
Yeah, they didn't specify what level of editor he was in the
There's obviously more to
article.
this story that's not being released. I mean, it's not like DC brought this guy up because he was a sexual predator. It's I'm guessing that there's, you know, reasons that she was let go and reasons that he was brought up that we weren't told of. Because they're not going to say, oh, this guy's a sexual predator, let's give him more money.
Yeah, but it's also well known to be a boys' club. Well known to be a boys' club. I remember back when I had first started getting into comics. I was about 10, 11 years old. I started writing to the companies themselves, wanting, you know, advice, inside help, something, you know, some guidance. Being a very young kid, I thought maybe at one point I wanted to be maybe a penciler for DC or Marvel. And I actually wrote to several editors and artists and a couple of writers. I never got many responses, but I always got a few, and the few I got, I was actually warned never to work for them in their offices. And I won't mention particular names, but those people told me as a woman I would be fair game. And this is one of the bigger reasons why I never wanted to work for the major publishers. I decided to stay independent. And if I do work for them at all, it'll be in a very freelance, very stay away from me motherfucker aspect. And there are several women in the industry that can still tell you to this day that they still put up with shit like this. In the article, they specify talking to several people there that still work for DC that said that Eddie's behavior is way over the top. He approached one female worker. She had bent over to pick something up. He approached her from behind, grabbed her ass, and started humping her in the middle of the office in front of witnesses. Now, this could be taken as a joke. You do it once or twice, I get that. But he did it repeatedly. And she told him, "Get off me." And he kept it up.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's not only sexual harassment, that's sexual assault. I do not understand why he's not been brought up on charges, let alone why he still works there.
Well, all these people that are bringing up the charges, are these accusations, why aren't they pressing charges?
They went to the HR department. The HR department blew them off.
You can bypass the HR department. You can go to the cops for this. You can go to a lawyer for this.
I know this, you know this, but do you know how much stigma there is against women reporting harassment and sexual assault? There's a lot. There's a lot, okay? And many women are not, in fact, believed. In fact, they're harassed by police themselves. So this is one of the reasons why it's so hard to get people like this out of our industry. Because I'm sorry, if you're going to behave like this to a coworker, and I don't care what level you're at versus what the coworker is at, if you act like that, your ass deserves jail time, your ass deserves to be on the fucking streets. You do not deserve the job you're at.
Yeah, I don't think this has anything to do with comic books. I think this has to do with an individual shitty person. I don't think that he should be out of comics. I think he should be in jail.
I think he should either be in jail, in therapy, or both, because obviously there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring this up is I think DC should do something about this. they should stand up. Maybe they should help him get some therapy. You know, make some form of overture, some form of gesture that they are trying to help him, you know, learn. Yeah. Because this is not the correct type of behavior. In the industry, in any office, anywhere.
Is there any response from the female editor that was let go? Did she say anything about it?
She was very upset, and I mean, they talked to her back and forth on Twitter. You can still talk to Shelley on Twitter as well. She's still very vocal on Twitter. But let's see. So far, she hasn't, at least in the article here, they haven't updated it yet with any direct comment from her about any of that. But yeah, I honestly don't understand why. Let's see. Do they specify Eddie's level of seniority? Yeah, he's also a senior editor.
Okay, so it probably wasn't monetary related.
Yeah, yeah. So it does mention farther down in the article he is a senior editor. So I think, honestly, they made a poor choice in who to let go.
Well, I would like to, before passing judgment, I would obviously like to hear more sides than...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because maybe she was a thief or something, you know. There's stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, we're definitely not on the inside per se. But
again, not defending a rapist or anything like that. Just let's get both sides.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, he has more than one incident over many years, not just in the office too. He's known to have assaulted several people at several different comic conventions as well.
Sounds like he worked in the restaurant business.
Something like that. He tried to serve it out, that's for certain. But anyways, okay, so let's go on to the last news article we wanted to just touch up on. Tess Fowler being let go from the Rat Queens.
I don't know what the Rat Queens are.
It's a fantastic comic series. Let's see. Let me bring up that story real fast here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it's a really good comic series. Let's see. I believe Boom Studios is the one that's been putting it out. And there are two creators that originally started making the Rat Queens, the writer and the artist. Rock Upchurch is the artist. Now, he stepped away for a while for personal reasons, including abuse of his now ex-wife, plus abandoning his wife and 3 children, and going through several class action lawsuits related to that. So he's not exactly an upstanding person, but we all make mistakes. Okay. So he steps away. The writer continues on with Rat Queens, gets another artist. That artist didn't work out. They finally hire Tess, and they lock her in with a contract. In her contract, she had specified that they needed to give her notice if they ever needed to let her go. So that way, and they didn't specify the length of time of notice, but most times notice is at least, 30 days is usually pretty average notice, 2 weeks to 30 days. And that way she might have enough time to be able to find some more work to then, pick up and continue on with her life like we all do, especially being a freelancer. Well, they broke the contract. They said that they had a new artist they wanted to bring on. She said, okay, fine. And they did it. They literally called her one day and said, you're off, you're done. They didn't give her any notice. So they broke part of the contract, which is basic boilerplate of giving her notice. And come to find out, it looks like Upchurch is the one wanting back on the book, and yet for some reason they keep confirming it and then denying it. It's very confusing, the rhetoric coming out of from both the writer, the creative team in general, and the company itself saying, no, Rock's not back on, and yet the writer's saying, yeah, Rock's on, yeah, he's going to be the artist, he's coming back on, he's coming back to comics. Okay, what upsets me is them breaking their contract, basically. It shows very poor management, and you know, I haven't been hearing very good things from several of these studios with their contracts. More and more, many of them, if they do break a contract, they just basically tell you to suck it up and get a lawyer.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, they can do what they want. I mean, they don't have to house somebody if they don't want to employ them.
Of course.
If they want to let somebody go, they have the right to let somebody go. They don't have to pay them for work that they don't want done. Even though a contract says, you know, we'll give you 30 days notice, it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, but it just
it's not moral. It's not the good thing to do. But this not only happens in comics, this happens in everything. I mean, I've had just straight up illustration jobs, design jobs, all sorts of stuff that have just fallen through just because the person paying changed their mind.
And she was still paid for the job, wasn't she?
They didn't specify in the article.
Oh. I'm sure she was paid for the work that she had done, just not for the work that she was expecting to get.
Right.
Well, it looks like they just updated the article, by the way. And so it looks like they've actually put the book on hiatus right after they let her go. So either they're doing a big move with the book, and it's a well-written book, it's a well-drawn book, regardless of which artist they've had on. Tess is my favorite artist of the three that they've had, even with the original being from Rock. I still prefer Tess' style, but that's, again, a personal opinion. But overall, I think that's a poor business move, and it just shows how it's almost better to be independent, you know?
Well, she was independent. She was an independent artist on a book.
Yeah, she is an independent artist on a book, but being fully independent with your own book. You know?
Okay.
A lot of these companies won't honor their contracts anymore. You know, they just say, okay, go get a lawyer. Well, I'm sorry, that's not really a repercussion some people can even afford, you know? And if they won't even honor their contract, why should I even be willing to give them my business, let alone the time of day?
Yep, stop buying their books then.
I have, actually.
Someone's got to go. It's 3 o'clock.
Yes, thank you. I'm about to get booted out of my meeting room I'm in, so...
It's very nice meeting you.
It's been excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
We'll talk to you later, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
Yeah, it's very sad that this stuff happens, but it's not just in comics. It's in it's everything. And if you really want to hit them, it's in their wallet. And it's not fair. It's in construction too. It's not just comics. It's life. And if somebody doesn't want to pay somebody for the work anymore, to be honest, they don't have to. I'm not saying she was doing a bad job. Maybe there's another side to this coin. Maybe, you know, we don't know all sides. And there was actually a really good on Mary Sue. There's a really good article about all the conflicting accounts of this story. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure she's going to move on to something much, much better.
I hope so. But it just goes to show you that if you do sign a contract with anybody on anything, they can renege on it, and you're going to have to take legal repercussions in order to get anything fulfilled out of it, unless they're actually honorable people.
Or just don't keep all your eggs in one basket.
This is true. Very true. Okay, and you wanted to bring up what's going on with Comixology.
So Comixology just yesterday started their unlimited thing, which they've been actually teasing about for a long time. And when they were first bought by Amazon, they had brought this up, that they were going to try to do this. But obviously, Marvel has their own unlimited reading subscription service, which is 6 months behind, which is amazing, and I pay for, and I use, and I read. Comixology is going to be not DC. For some reason, DC opted out. Maybe DC is building their own, hopefully. But it's going to be Dark Horse, Image, Boom, all these other smaller publishers. And it's not the entire run. It'll be like the first 40%, first 50% of the run. A couple of them signed up for the whole thing. Like, you can go and, if you sign up, you can just, I do believe Saga, you can go and read all of Saga right now, up to the current issue. And obviously, you know, the Saga's creators got a little bit of a bonus from Amazon for allowing them to do this. I personally think this is the correct direction to go. I think monthly subscriptions are going to become very popular. People are obviously not going to use cable anymore. Cable, you know, people using cable are just plummeting. Netflix, Hulu, Pandora, Spotify, Google Play Music, iTunes, all this stuff is where people are headed. And the monthly subscription thing for unlimited is very handy. And it's what they did with only offering like the first half of the run is a very good idea, because it gets people motivated to finish and buy the rest of the books. I actually applied for a job in marketing at Comixology just over a year ago, a couple months after the Amazon purchase, but I would have had to move to continue the interview process, and I didn't want to move to New York City. So
yeah.
What they were talking about was basically all this, but they were even going to just do like just the first issue for free, and then all the other ones 99 cents, and they were going to do all digital 99 cents and then special issues for free. So it's cool that they found a middle ground. But obviously the creators aren't going to make less money, but they're going to be making less money for the amount of comics that are being read. So basically, if a comic book is bought and read on Comixology, the creator, let's say, gets 50 cents. Now with this service, you're paying $6 and you can read, you know, all of Saga, and the creator's only getting a penny. But there's a hope that they go and start buying the next issues and stuff like that.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, overall, it's not a bad move, and I think like doing the 40-50% of a line was definitely a smarter move. Saga is far more popular, and it's already made quite a bit of money off of its line already, so it can actually afford to probably put the whole line up. But yeah, overall, I think it's a slow screw for some of the smaller creators in some aspects.
It could be a no screw whatsoever, though, for smaller creators. This is a big company. I mean, this is Amazon, because Amazon has purchased the company now. And people, I'm not talking Boom, even smaller than Boom. Is Valiant smaller than Boom? I was thinking like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Putting all their books up, just read these. Have them up for only 1 month, like Valiant month or whatever. You go through and read all of our books, and then after a month, take them back and go back down to the 30, 40, 50% of the books. The first 30% of them are free.
Right.
That's an easy way to get new readers, and that's where you do get the $3, $4, or $5.
Yeah, I think overall it is a smart marketing move. I think newer books, they're going to be coming out. What they're going to probably have to do is just not put it up there for free until you have the majority of your line already published, you know?
There's a couple things that I think that Comixology can do that will make a lot of people a lot of money. I think that they should do a borrow thing where it's 99 cents and you have a week to read the book and then you don't have it anymore. I think that the digital price should be cut in half. I don't think comics should be $4 digitally. I think they should be $2 or $2.50 even. Just as an amount of money that people have no problem dropping. Just because it's digital and there's no paper waste, there's no shipping waste, anything like that. I think
there's no production at all.
Yeah, well, there's the making of the book.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it though. That's from the creators to the people. There's no extra in between needed.
Yeah, they need to look at successful digital companies like Steam. Steam has the gigantic Steam sales during Christmas and summer and stuff like that, where $50 games are $5.
Steam sales.
Steam sales is where people spend hundreds of dollars. Games make their money off of Steam sales. I was reading an interview with the guys from Clay who did Don't Starve and Mark of a Ninja, and they're when their games go on sale, even if it's on PlayStation. There was the article is about this week's PlayStation sale that they just had for Don't Starve. It's they sell 50 times more copies, but only make 15% more money than they were per week, but it's still 15% more money that they make per week.
And then they got more people addicted to it, and that way if they make a sequel, for instance, people are almost...
Don't Starve Together, coming out the end of 2016 on PlayStation 4.
Yep. Then they're willing to jump at the next one a little more readily. Yeah.
People need to do stuff more like Netflix. Netflix is making the money. They've got their own high quality shows that you can only get on Netflix. So I think Comixology should be publishing their own comics that you can only get with a subscription. Get Warren Ellis to write some sci-fi thing for you. There's lots of things that I think that they're doing already that it's going to work. So,
overall, I think this will work. It's going to take a little time and adjustment. Like anything, everybody's going to gripe about it until you get used to it, and then you go, oh, okay. That's basically.
It's making what it is making thousands of dollars later on, as opposed to making $100 today.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and there's one more thing I wanted to bring up. It is comics related, but it's with Adobe. I wanted to ask your opinion about the subscription service of Adobe. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad?
How much is it right now?
Depends upon the program you're getting, or programs, or suite, or whatever you want access to. Anywhere from $10, $20 a month for like single programs, to hundreds, if not $1,000 a month.
If paying $5 a month for the most current Photoshop, I think is completely legitimate. Paying $40 a month for all of them, if you use all of them, I think is completely legitimate. $1,000 a month for big businesses, I think is completely legitimate, as long as it stays up to date. As long as it's the most current Photoshop. I'm not going to pay a monthly fee to get Photoshop 6 and then Photoshop 8 is coming out. So
right.
As long as it's still the most current thing.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
I'm still of an old school mind. I prefer buying the program once and not having to worry about it after that.
Wouldn't you like to always have the most current product though?
No.
No?
I'm not of that mind. Once I get used to version like I use CS3, CS4, I've had almost no need to upgrade after that.
Do you have the it's synced to your Adobe account so you can just reinstall it whenever you want? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to digitally buy stuff. I'm tired of looking for disc. I know that's like everyone got over that 5 years ago, but it's me now finally.
I still prefer having a disc copy just because hardware does have, it's not completely 100% reliable. It can fail. I'm probably going to have to take my giant desktop unit in and have a bunch of things upgraded on it, and I'm hoping my software survives.
Well, no. By buying digital, you can just go and re-download it. I didn't mean just buy it once. Like my Manga Studio, I understand I'm saying manga wrong. Manga Studio. I've re-downloaded that like 6 times already. So I think if you buy a digital copy, you should be able to not exactly DRM free it, but put it on whatever new computer you have.
True. I just figured I still hear back and forth about Adobe, especially, even from older and newer creators and graphic artists to several graphic artists I know that are friends talk about this as well. Some of them have bought the, I think, what was it, CS5 was the last one they made hard copies of before they switched to the service.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them got up to CS5 and have not updated since, because most of them just don't find a point in getting a subscription service that adds on to their monthly overhead.
I have CS3. That's where I'm at with that. But yeah, do they offer well, first of all, Photoshop's always been really expensive, period. I've had more pirated copies of Photoshop than I've actually owned. I guess I own CS3 right now because I just had to reinstall it. And I remember going to the Adobe shop, and I own Manga Studio. I got it on one of their sales where it went from like $200 to $20. But to be honest, I could have just done the $20 version. I don't even use most of the stuff. Well, I started using the 3D modeling. That's really cool. I've got it in the comic I'm drawing right now. There's a catapult scene where it's like 10 pages of a lady standing next to a catapult. And I went and downloaded a 3D model of a catapult from Manga Studio, and I can just move it around however I want and then just trace it. It's so awesome.
Oh man, but I like drawing like the catapult, for instance. I like actually sitting down and drawing that out.
I would draw I would draw the catapult out too. But what I would do is I would draw like 3 different angles maybe when I actually drew ink. I would draw 3 different angles or whatever, and then blow it up physically blow it up different sizes in Photoshop, and then just trace it over and over again. So it's actually only 3 different drawings of a catapult, but making the sizes different and stuff like that, you can use it for 15 panels. Right. I have no problem tracing pencils, using pencils over and over again, but I'm not going to copy and paste ink. I don't. That's not how.
I copy and pasting is okay, especially if you're first learning. But after a while, you need to up your skill level. Unless,
like we were just talking about, Jonathan, Illustrator, whatever you can do to make your comic happen.
True.
And I think copying and pasting Illustrator stuff is a little bit different than copying and pasting, actually hand drawn stuff.
Yeah, this is true. All right. Well, I think this is all the time we have today. So
I want to bring up 2 more things.
Two
more things. I have a list. I'm sorry.
Wow, you have a list, Jamie? Oh my God. The first.
DC Rebirth. Did you read all the stuff about going on with that?
No, I haven't heard about the Rebirth.
All right, so a new comic. There's going to be lots of spoilers. You don't read DC comics anyway, so I just want to discuss it. What date does this come out? This comes out in like a week. All right, so if you don't want any spoilers about DC Rebirth that just came out today, but a week ago, close the channel or whatever you got to do. Jeff Johns wrote his last DC comic. Jeff Johns is DC Comics, period. He's going to work for the DC movies now. He's going to be a producer over there. He decided to write his last DC comic and go out with a bang. So here's the 3 spoilers that really happened. There's going to be 3 flashes now. and they're all at the same time, but like the second one doesn't know about the first one, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the timeline's all messed up. Sorry, Roscoe, go ahead. Nope. They brought back Watchmen is now in the DC universe.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So Watchmen is now canon for DC.
Wow.
Dr. Manhattan is God of the DC universe.
No.
And this goes back to not only pages from the Watchmen comic, but also a Crisis series that Jeff Johns wrote like 7 years ago. So he was pulling from multiple things that made it legit that Dr. Manhattan was God of the DC universe.
Oh, damn. Now I'm going to have to get back into it, I think.
Well, the nerds are pissed off about this because the nerds get mad whenever anybody does anything with Watchmen that's not Alan Moore.
Right, right.
All right, so I'm done with that spoilers. The Twitter. What are you barking at, you dumb dog? All right, and then next one is Patreon Chuck Forsman, who does Revenger. Revenger's like my favorite now every other month comic. He publishes it himself. He prints it out on a risograph at his neighbor's house. He sells it through his Store Envy store. So look up Chuck. His last name is spelled F-O-R-S-M-A-N. Would that be Forsman?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, Chuck Forsman, Revenger. And his Patreon, he wanted to do something special with his Patreon. So he's doing a monthly mini comic. It's only 12 pages or whatever, but it's done in a more cartoony style so you can pump the pages out. But for $3 a month, you get a mini comic subscription, which is really good. And it's called I'm Not Okay With This. I just got the first issue, and it is adorable. It's about a skinny emo chick in high school, and there's a big plot twist at the end that's awesome, and it's well worth $3 a month for this little cute little book. And that's all I have. I'm done with my list.
Okay. Since we're talking about things we've gotten in the mail, the creator of Devil and Mr. Gandhi, Pat McEwen, he has been sending me little snippets of things he's been making. He made his own little Devil and Gandhi Gazette.
That's awesome.
That is so fucking cool. And I mean, it's got extra comics in it, of course. And
is it printed on newsprint, or is it just like printed?
Yeah, it's actually printed on newsprint. And on the back there's even a little coupon, a little crossword puzzle,
That's
it's
cool.
fucking awesome. And of course he sends a little 2-page thank you comic as well to the podcast here.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just fucking awesome. So thank you, Pat, so much for sending things in for the podcast. This is definitely going to go up on the wall of awesome behind me. I've got to reorganize my office again and reevaluate where I put everything.
I stopped caring because I'm getting ready to move, so everything's just going to fall apart in the house.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the trade today. This will be up on the 1st of June, so have a good summer, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. If you've got any questions, anybody you want us to interview, anybody you would like to see us talk to, and any questions for them, let us know either down in the comments. You can email us at the tradecomicspodcast@gmail.com, or you can Twitter us at the Comics Podcast, the Trade Comics Podcast on Twitter, or you can even Twitter to me, Melanie_C on Twitter, or Jamie.
Jamie_DEE on Twitter.
On Twitter. So, I mean, let us know, guys, if there's anything you'd like us, anybody you'd like us to interview, anything else you'd like us to cover. Throw us your thoughts and feelings, all right? We don't mind. Let us know, okay? So, thanks so much. My name is Melanie. I do ornamental at ornamentalcomic.com.
I'm Jamie D. Gailey. You can just Google me.
Under many things. Yes, he has his fingers in all pies. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.